Hi, Miss Sadie here. I have an interesting topic of conversation this morning. It is about a video that went, I don't know if it was, it took a little bit to go viral, but it started over the weekend. I actually shared it on my Instagram story. And then I didn't really comment a whole lot on it or anything like that over the weekend because I try not to engage too much over the weekend. That's my puppy behind me. But it has definitely gotten a little bit of picked up steam, and I wanted to talk about it today. If you've seen the video, this is a woman that is upset. She is at a Korean spa called We Spa in Los Angeles. And I have never been to a Korean spa, but apparently Korean spas are full nude. I believe in Korea they may be co-ed, or maybe in Europe. I don't really know. Doesn't really matter in this situation. However, the point is that it's fully nude. We're in California, and a lady is particularly upset because a transgender, or someone who is identifying as a woman but got their full, what is it that they call it? The sticks and berries, or stick and berries, or whatever. Everything is still completely intact. Let's play the video for you first so you can kind of get a feel for what it is that is going on. Hi. Okay. This is off of Matt Walsh's Twitter feed, and I'm going to go ahead and play this for you. Let's start it back here. Okay.
So it's okay. I just want to be clear with you. It's okay. It's okay for a man to go into the women's section, show his penis around the other women, young little girls underage. Your spa, We Spa, condone that. Is that what you're saying? Like I asked. It's so he could stay there. He could stay there. What sexual orientation? I see a dick. It lets me know he's a man. He's a man. He is a man. He is not no female. He is not a female.
So what's happening here, as you can see, she's upset. I don't blame her. She's at this spa with young women, young girls, she says. She says that they're girls. I don't know exactly what the age is. I did hear something that maybe one of them was around 14, but it doesn't matter. The point is that they're underage. So whether it be 9, 14, whatever, they're young women. Also, this should be, I don't know, a woman's space. And one of the first things that this employee says is that because of his sexual orientation, I believe he's using the wrong term. The point is that this man identifies as a woman, and he is claiming that because he identifies as a woman, that by law, he is permitted to go into this space of what would have been all women with everything intact. So I wanted to go ahead and do a little bit of research about what exactly is this law that he's claiming. So it took me a little bit because one of the articles that I did find referenced the UNRUH Civil Rights Act. This is specifically in California. Now, when you read the act itself, it has identifiers such as, and we're going to go down here, it says the language of the UNRUH, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Civil Rights Act specifically outlaws discrimination in housing and public accommodations based on sex, race, color, religion, ancestry, national origin, disability, medical condition. It has a whole list here: primary language, immigrant status. However, the California Supreme Court has held that protections under the UNRUH Act are not necessarily restricted to these characteristics. So even though the law was initially written and it set the categories of religion, sex, I believe it was also sexual orientation, Gender identity is not specifically listed in this law. However, the California Supreme Court held that protections are not necessarily restricted to these characteristics. And then it says, the act is meant to cover all arbitrary and intentional discrimination by a business establishment on the basis of personal characteristics similar to those listed above. So as you can see here, the California Supreme Court did a little maneuvering, a little bending and moving to accommodate gender identity. It also says the law protects the rights of individuals with disabilities to use streets, highways, and other public places. So this goes into kind of like what was happening with a lot of the homelessness and encampments in California. Now, one of the things that I want to kind of point out here is that then over here, we have a whole list, and it says that the facilities, it says this includes but not limited to the following places: hotels and motels, nonprofit organizations that have a business purpose or are a public accommodation, restaurants, theaters, hospitals, barbershops, and beauty salons, housing accommodations, public agencies, retail establishments. As you can see, spa is not specifically mentioned. Bathrooms aren't specifically mentioned. However, they leave you with an open door by saying that it includes but is not limited to the following places. Now, this is what happens where you make this court, the state of California and the California Supreme Court makes an intent to be all inclusive, to include, everybody in all places. And they don't take into full consideration that some exceptions, I believe, need to be made. Now, before I get a little bit further into this video and my personal thoughts regarding the situation, you might want to subscribe and ring that bell so you get notifications anytime I upload a new video. Now, as you can see, the California Supreme Court and this law has left a little bit of a wiggle room, to say the least, but they never really took into full consideration what happens when you leave this space open, this wiggle room open. And this is a perfect example, is when you don't think, past what good intentions you're trying to achieve. Like, they're trying to be all inclusive, but then at the same time, they're exposing women and also underage girls. And that's really what is most concerning to me, is why do underage girls have to be exposed to men's bits? You know what I mean? And I'm just having some weird visuals about spending some time in that spa with this thing flying around and these poor little girls kind of it's just really uncomfortable and highly inappropriate. And for a long time, there was a big push about protecting women. Is there any thought, I'm trying to think about, consider a woman who has maybe been abused in any way, has had to deal with sexual abuse possibly, and is sitting in a spa trying to relax, and a dude walks in with his schlong hanging out. That's has to be jarring, to say the least. Now, there are a lot of things to be said about this situation. And if anything, these laws, this effort to be inclusive, this religion of inclusivity has yet again has disenfranchised women. The thing is that almost every instance that keeps making its way into the news is a situation where it disenfranchises biological women, which I shouldn't even have to say specifically. There shouldn't have to be a clarification of biological women. But apparently, that's the world we're in right now, and that's what needs to be said. And this is another example. So you have this man exposing himself to women and young girls in a vulnerable space. I've spoken before about the ungendering of language. I'll put a little card up here for you to see the video that I did on the term birthing people or chest feeding or people who bleed, anyways, again, and not to mention, now we have the situation in sports. We currently have a man who has qualified to compete as a woman in the Tokyo Olympics as a weightlifter. Now, mind you, this isn't a man who decided at a very young age to transition. This man lived for 35 years as a man before they decided to transition. The difference in size, the difference if you were to see their jump in competition rankings is pretty significant. And this is, again, another example where women are being disenfranchised in one way or the other. It is only women who are being affected by ungendering of language, being put into vulnerable situations. For example, another one is in California, if I'm not mistaken, if a prisoner identifies as a woman, they can be housed in women's prisons. And to assume, I am absolutely not going to say that transgender people in general have ulterior motives. I don't think they're all trying to take advantage or hurt anyone. But to say that deviant individuals won't take advantage of these laws, of these loopholes in order to access vulnerable women is naive, to say the least. Ignorant is really the better word for it. So that is how I feel about that situation. And here's the thing is that this isn't the first time that this has happened. I went poking around and I found this review. So it says, I really like this spa, but I had an unpleasant experience. Now, this is November 7th of 2018. And she specifically, I'm assuming it's a she, since this was, yes, it says, upon checking in, the clerk advises that there was a transgender male in the women's locker room. I think the terminology there is a little messed up, but you get the idea. And it says, individual naked in all his glory, and he still had a male organ hanging there. Okay, no fuzz. Oof. Okay. The person goes on to explain like they're trying to be tolerant. They understand surgery is expensive and everything. However, while she is in the spa, trying to enjoy it and trying to put out of her mind that there is a man essentially in the women's spa, she shares here, I clearly heard him say that he had had relations with probably 100 women and that he was looking for a female girlfriend to share his time with. He also mentioned that he used drugs to relax. Okay, it's none of her business, but a transgender, this is her statement, a transgender person does not act like a guy around women, nor they state how much they like women, nor how much they like having relations with them. Needless to say, she felt uncomfortable. And she again says, I have nothing against gay people or transgender people. However, she was uncomfortable. And that management said that according to the law, there was nothing that they could do in regards to this. So this is in 2018. As you can see, this is something that I don't know if this is the same individual, but this is something that is been practiced at We Spa since at least 2018. This has been going on for a few years now, and it's just now that somebody has decided to speak up for themselves and also for the underage girls that were with them to express their dissatisfaction with the idea of a man exposing himself in the women's spa. Now, this wasn't the only thing that I found most interesting about this video. There's also a man, where I'm assuming he clearly identifies as a man, who then confronts the woman for expressing her concern about the situation. So let's go take a look at that.
Everything. You got a man with his penis talking about he's a woman. He ain't no woman. Yeah, give her money back.
Are you talking about a transgender person?
There's no such thing as transgender. He has a dick. Okay? He has a penis. His penis is hanging out. Okay, no, I'm not one. Actually, I'm a woman who knows how to stand up and speak up for my right.
Now, if you didn't hear that, this stellar human being here, this gentleman, has decided to confront her and tell her that she's being a dick for complaining to the spa staff. I'm pretty sure he's probably a feminist, but let's continue on.
I have a right to feel comfortable without a man exposing himself, okay? No, you go somewhere else. Okay, so that's right. No, he's not a transgender. He has a penis, just like you do. Are you? So I understand. No. Yeah. Okay, it's not okay. It's not okay.
So here we go, and she is, I commend her for speaking up for herself. She has said that she does not accept this, that she is not okay with a man exposing himself, and she's made it really simple. The guy has a penis, therefore he's a man. And I don't believe any transgender person should be discriminated against and not allowed, to stay at a hotel or shop at a store or open a bank account or have a job or find an apartment. But I do think that there are certain spaces, there are certain places that you have to understand are not appropriate. This person has no right, it's not a right to attend a spa and be able to hang out naked. Now, if they want to provide a separate space for them, she may enjoy the services, that's fine. But I also don't think that underage girls or women should have to feel unsafe when they're trying to patronize a business that has such a sensitive and vulnerable space. I think that's a better word. It is a very vulnerable space to be in. And then a man to just walk in and have his business hanging out. And I just, I do have a lot of concerns about these young girls. If I was a parent, I would definitely want to have some control over when it is appropriate, or even if it's appropriate, to explain that or expose that to my children. And I don't think that to be almost accosted in that way is fair. And it's not fair for the parent, but it's definitely not fair for those young girls. And I don't want to generalize anyone that as if they're have any kind of pedo or sexual perversion. However, I do think that, I'm not going to lie, I put it into question if you are just entering into a space where you're going to expose yourself. I mean, put on a freaking bottom, at least, at the minimum. And I probably would be uncomfortable with that, but at the minimum, do that, because then, you yourself are nude and you don't want to be seen and feel unsafe when you're vulnerable and you're nude. These are all things that really need to be considered. And this is what happens when you try and create legislation that is open and is general or just open to interpretation in order for the sake of inclusivity. Again, this religion of inclusivity allows no bend. It allows for no exceptions. And this can put people in very vulnerable situations. So that's my thought on the situation. If you like what I have to say, I would suggest that you subscribe, you ring that bell so you get notifications, leave a comment, give a thumbs up. If you don't like it, also do that. I mean, probably don't subscribe, but at least leave a comment, tell me you don't, so I can have something to read with my coffee in the morning. Also, you might want to consider following me on locals.com. Any video that I share here, I'm also backing up over there, and I am working on more exclusive content for followers on locals.com. Then, finally, if you're a woman and you've enjoyed this content and you value femininity, self-reliance, and freedom, I would suggest that you visit my website, libertassisters.com. It is an online community of freedom-loving women for friendship, for networking, for exchanging ideas, trade. We just have some really great conversations over there. Membership opens up to 30 people at a time, so you got to join the email list to be notified as to when membership opens. Make sure you give me a follow on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you on the next video.